Hi guys, I'm BaconCrumbz. I'm the one who recorded what happened to Emaru at her meet and greet this past weekend. What follows are a perspective on the event, the meet and greet, and TwitchCon as a whole. This weekend was hard to put into words, honestly. I mean, we attended our first TwitchCon as a result of the subathon. We hit a certain goal, which I believe was 450 subs, and so we bought a ticket to go to TwitchCon. Went down there. Man, I don't know. What happened is kind of perplexing to this day. I don't really know how to feel, except angry and upset that something like this would happen. But I'm going to talk about kind of everything going into this. Okay, we're going to talk about TwitchCon as a whole. And because this topic does have to do with sexual assault, I invite you to consider donating towards an organization that works towards efforts to prevent and help heal situations like this. I chose the joyfulheartfoundation.org. You can reach out to them and donate if you find the means, have the money to help support something like this. So yeah, guys, I don't know if you know exactly what happened, but we're gonna get into it. So we're gonna go over TwitchCon in a full broad perspective. All right, we're gonna talk about everything, starting from the trip down, cost of trip down, parking every day, and then we'll get into, the events and everything that's happened in that order. So I was coming, I live in California. It's not that far for me to get to San Diego. It's much more feasible for me. It took me about 3 hours to get down there. I was staying in Carlsbad, which is still roughly like 40 minutes or so from the venue. I was lucky enough to be able to stay with family. For those of you that are flying in from outside of the state, you're spending $400, $500 on a plane ticket just to get there. It's crazy. I just feel like it's such, I don't know if you're really getting what you paid for just to be there. It's a little more feasible for me just to drive 3 hours, but spending $600 to attend what I attended this weekend, dude, I would be absolutely shook on that. And even then, it still took me about a full tank of gas each way. So that's like about $140 just to get there. On top of the ticket it was to buy a ticket to attend, 270 or 5 or something like that for the 3-day pass, plus another $100 for the block party, which most people go. Let's get into a little bit about the events of day one. To start, as part of attending TwitchCon, I was going to be IRL streaming a majority of the event, right? And so I had my camera gear, I had my camera bag. This is my first time walking into a TwitchCon. I had no idea what to expect. Very new to IRL streaming, so I didn't really know exactly how. I brought an extra phone so that I could look at chat while also streaming with another hand. Got everything, went back to my car, dropped my stuff off, came in. It was about time for me to go in line for a meet and greet. This was my first meet and greet ever with a content creator in this space. I've met bands and artists after a show or something like that, but this was the first one with content creators. So I get in line. Basically, there's a section of the convention center that's in the center area where all the activations are. It's in the back kind of left edge of all of this, and it's a big kind of those things that you kind of walk through when you're going in line to get to the movies. Those stands with the strap with the strands in between. That was the perimeter, right? So that's it. We're not talking about bike racks. We're not talking about anything else, but something that would take 2 seconds for you to just go and go underneath. All right, so this is the perimeter for the meet and greet area. There are some guards, not even guards, Twitch staff. I don't know what you want to call them. They're working the event. They got the green shirts on. They're sitting in the front, the front entrance area. So picture it's you're walking in and then there's this long expanse of rows and different setups for each meet and greet. So that's basically what I'm looking at this point. You scan your wristband, which you have to get into the venue, which you have to get into, the entire TwitchCon thing. Apparently it's all connected to the same wristband. And then they have you scan a QR code that's in your TwitchCon app for when you were accepted to do the meet and greet. You tell them that you're here to meet which content creator, and then they tell you what number line to go to. There was nobody enforcing which line I went to. I could have walked to line 1, I could have walked to line 2. It was like, okay, go to line 5. So I'm like, okay. And I went to line 5. But if I was somebody else who maybe I wanted to meet somebody else, I could have very easily walked to line 3 or line 2. There was nobody enforcing that. All right, so that's really crazy to me. You know, like you would think there'd be somebody at the start of the line where they check you. Like the start of the actual line system, not just the funneling that gets you into the line system. So anyway, I get into that line, and it's just a giant like moat of people. Like literally like a giant, like this is what's been cut out. And it's just people in there. Like a horde of people in a clump. There's no like serpentine line system that's like keeping it all, you know, strict and organized, like one by one single file kind of thing. It is a mass of people. It's like a horde. So somebody from staff comes around and tries to tell us to create our own serpentine line without the barriers. So they're like, all right, you follow him. You look at the person that's in front of you. They look at the person behind them, and you guys start literally becoming like a snake, like the Snake video game. Like that is what we're doing through this barricade. There's nothing forcing us to do that, but it's what we're told to do. And people actually, you know, had the ability to do it. So I guess it worked out, but I still think it's absolutely insane. Where's the bike racks? Where like any major professional event like festivals, concerts, all these kinds of things, they always have bike racks. That is like the essential tool for keeping lines in order. And we didn't have that. We just had like movie straps that you just like literally go up like this. You like lift them up, or you can unhook them and all that. That is what's containing this. So I'm still IRL streaming. I've got one hand holding my streaming stick and my other hand is holding my phone. And I'm connected to a hotspot because the price of Wi-Fi for this event was like $180 a day. I'm holding the camera with this hand. I've got my other phone in my left hand. That phone is connected to my hotspot on this phone. And that's what I'm planning to do, right? That is essentially my setup. I've got a mic on my shirt. I've got an adapter in the phone, blah, 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 whatever. So I'm standing in this line. It's about like 30 minutes goes by. And I'm kind of like, all right, man, I think I'm going to just like end the stream for a second. I'll come back when I get closer to the front. So I do that, keep moving up through the line. Things are moving slowly. There's not really anyone that's like enforcing like, okay, your time is up. It's just kind of like, you know, go up, talk to them. You know, in this case, this was the meet and greet for Emaru, right? So people are coming up. Some people have gifts. Some people just want a hug. Some people just want a photo. Some people just want a signature. You name it, right? It's very kind of like, whatever you came to do, here you go. And we're just moving along through this line. It becomes, we're about like, maybe the last 5 rows, right? And so I turn my stream back on my right hand, and I'm checking my left phone, and I realize that I'm not connected to the hotspot. So I'm looking down at my left phone, and I'm like, oh crap, like what's going on here? I'm trying to fix this. And I hear this thud, like a serious bang thud. And I like look up, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell just happened? Like, because I mean, you're not expecting a sound like that when you've been waiting in a line for nearly like 35 minutes, right? And I look up and I see this hulking dude, like kind of stumbling backwards. And then I see him kind of like the security, like this kind of, you know, shorter security guard standing there and kind of like pointing to the exit, right? And then I just see this guy walk off. And I'm just like, what the hell just happened? And so if you watch my VOD back, you'll hear me saying like, what the fuck was that? What the hell just happened? Like, I literally don't know. So as this happens, right, there is a fan that's standing there waiting for a photo with Emaru when the situation happens. He's still standing there. I see someone come from behind the meet and greet wall to usher Emeru back behind the wall. And she went on stream and explained that this was her manager and her personal friend. And then it's just like, I mean, that's it. Like, we're just standing there, like, wondering what the heck's going on. Nobody from Twitch has stepped in. There's no security. There's no risk management. There's nobody showing up like, hey, guys, we just had an incident. We need you to be patient and sit tight, while we figure out what just happened. None of that. Nothing's happening. We're just standing there like sardines in a can, just like, huh? I don't know what happened. I'm holding my camera. It's still recording. I'm like, man, I don't know what happened, but maybe I caught it on film, right? So I didn't even look at that point. We're just standing in line. She comes back around the corner. She seems to be kind of like visibly shaken, right? How could you not be? And we continue through the line, right? And at this point, I could tell, like, she was not the same spirits that she was at the start. She was trying to put on her best, like, trying to keep it together, trying to keep all her emotions in check, but I could tell she was checked out. So when I came up to talk to her, I kept it very short and simple. It was just kind of like, hey, like, how's it going? Like, how is it doing things like this? And I can't remember exactly what her response was. More or less like, it's okay, it's all right. We had a brief talk about her streams with Mizkif, about the Smite Gauntlet and things that they used to do. And I just talked about that and talked about Smite a little bit and talked about how she thinks League is better. And I was just like, all right, well, thank you so much. So nice to meet you. I walked away. At this point, I go in my VOD. I've reconnected to the hotspot. I'm looking at my phone. I'm trying to see what actually had happened there, right? So I look at my phone and I see what actually happened, because I see that when I was looking down at my other hand, I actually recorded what happened, which was an actual sexual assault in front of everyone. And you can see in the video, this guy comes in from completely off to the side. He's not in the queue. He's not in any line's queue. He just came from the side. He ducks under the same exact straps that I was talking about before, because there's nobody there looking at that, or if there is security, they're not in their position. They're not protecting anything to do with this whole system. He just ducks under the thing, comes on forward, and he's walking with this like serious like power stride, and he just like comes up and he wraps himself around her, like completely encompassing her, dude, like putting his whole chest, like her face is like in his chest at that point. And then he like backs up and tries to like come around, and it's so fucking awful. Honestly, like, I watched it, and every single time I still watch it, I'm just like, this is just so gross. It's just fucking awful, man. It comes to light that this is actually what happened, and nobody else knew it. I don't think anyone was looking. I think most people were so like looking down in their phone, or checked out because they were waiting in this line, or just not able to see what had happened, right? And anybody like looking at this situation and like seeing like there was a fan standing there when this actually happened, he didn't know what happened. He was in shock. He was completely, you could look at his body movements, like his body is stiff, his hand is like crunched up, and he's just kind of like, I don't know like what just happened. And it's like that's, people react differently to these kinds of high stress situations, So I don't fault that guy in any way. All of this could have been prevented. Everything that happened could have been prevented if there was proper security in place. And it's like, the worst part about this for me is that after that, you literally watch this guy just walk off into the venue. There is nobody there to stop him. There's no security. There's no police. You don't see anyone running after him. Dude just saunters off straight through the venue. And if you go on Twitter or anything else, you can look and you can see clips of this exact thing happening. Like, there's streams of other people doing IRL streams, and this guy just walks by them, and there's another video of him just walking out the door. I felt so awful and so bad for Emeru, and it's just such a horrible situation that was so preventable if proper security was in place, if there was bike racks, if there was something, made it harder to actually get in there. It was a cakewalk just to walk in, It was a cakewalk just to pick whatever line you wanted to be in. You didn't have to go to the line you were told. You could have just walked to whatever line you wanted. Who's gonna know? Literally nobody's gonna know. You could have been like permabanned from meeting somebody because they claim that they do background checks, and then you just walk to whatever line you wanted to. It doesn't matter. So that's a really bad undersight, I would say, or oversight on Twitch's behalf, especially on security, especially on the system of the lines and everything. I mean, I used to work in festivals, running front gates, running, lost and found operations. You have to have that shit locked down. When there's people coming through your line, they need to know where to go, how to exit, and there needs to be security on each side enforcing it. That was not happening. That was not happening at all. Like, if this is how they treat their biggest creators, what does that mean for the rest of everyone else? It's just so sobering and awful to see, honestly. I had not decided to post the video yet because I was feeling like I was torn, I wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do to post something like that, because I know that it was traumatic for her, and I know it can be traumatic to relive something and see it from another perspective like that. But I ultimately decided that, this was a horrible injustice. This was something that should not have happened. And it's not something that Twitch should be able to sweep under the rug. So I decided to post it, and I decided to express my disgust towards that individual and express, my respect for her for being such a professional to even come back out, even after that, some horrible situation that never should have happened. She actually had the courage and discipline to come back and finish that line out. So that's just major respect, major kudos on that. And then the rest is history, right? The video gets posted, the world starts to see it, content creators start reacting, people are demanding change, people are demanding, finding out who this person is. People are, not sure what he's pulling out of his shirt in the video. And to me, I don't know for sure either. Either way, it's just awful that this whole situation happened. And this video started circulating so rapidly, people are just reposting and sharing and, reacting to it live on stream. I was sitting 2 tables in front of Nina and Sakura when they were reacting to the video. I was actually sitting at the bar right in front of them eating taquitos, and I was just like, oh wow, this is really starting to go somewhere. And then Twitch puts out a statement saying they apprehended the guy, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, man. I don't think that actually happened. I didn't see anyone grab him. I didn't see him checked by any means. He was just walking out of the venue willy-nilly. There was no evidence that this had happened, right? So I see this statement, and it doesn't come out until about 1:30 a.m. that night. I posted the tweet, I think around I want to say it was 8 or something. It takes 5 hours, 5.5 hours for them to make a statement on this. And what they do is they deny all responsibility for what had happened. They claim that the security was in place and that they immediately apprehended this individual and that, the safety is our priority and all this stuff. And it's just blatant lies. And what happens is the next day, Emeru goes live right before her show, her cosplay show. And she calls them out directly saying, yo, this is not true. You did not protect me. There was no security there. I had my personal bodyguard there, but it wasn't my main bodyguard because you banned the guy who detained somebody who tried to attack me previously, which is a whole nother can of worms, man. What are we doing here? What do you mean? How can a security guard show excessive force when someone is getting attacked and they are being detained to be rightfully, tried by the power of the law? It just doesn't make sense to me. All these things come out. She talks about how, You know, her management had to pursue the Twitch team. They had to pursue, you know, getting justice for the attack. And they're told this guy's going to get a 30-day ban from the platform. 30-day ban for sexual assault in person. It is the grossest thing I've ever heard. You know, Emeru actually went and still did her show the next day, despite this whole situation happening, despite feeling the way she does about the horrible way this was handled by Twitch, by the security in place, and all those things. So yeah, so all these things come out. And then I'm not sure what ultimately led to this, but on day 2, I made it a goal of mine to immediately go back to the scene of the crime and see what had been implemented in order to prevent this sort of thing from happening again, right? And so I show up to the front of the meet and greet, because day 2 I had a meet and greet with CuteBot, and I'm like, okay, I'll just start my day here again and hope to God nothing horrible happens, right? And so this time they've got lines being held up. There's way more security personnel. There's like people that look like, you know, they're like event ops, right? You know, people with like kind of tack suits and black, and you know, they've got radios and stuff. None of those people were there before. At the most important and dangerous aspect of this whole venue is protecting your biggest creators, and everyone for that matter, not even just the biggest creators. It's like protecting everyone attending, and there's no security, there's no police presence. But day 2 there was. Day 2 there was. So it seems like through sharing this video, through the outrage that came out of the Twitch community and all communities, I mean, the news outlets, you name it, some good change actually came out of it. There was police standing off to the right. There was more people involved with the check-in process. They still were not checking what line you walk to. I still think that needs work, man. And then at the front of the actual meet and greet areas, they had some dudes in like gray shirts and black pants and earpieces, and they looked like, you know, like a private security team, right? And apparently they were implemented by Amazon, because Amazon owns Twitch. And so Amazon's like, hey, we're taking over because whatever you guys did not work. And look at what has happened. You know, this was fully preventable. There's no reason that any of this should ever happen, especially at a predetermined meet and greet location where people know these people are going to be at a certain time for a certain time. There should be security everywhere at that exact moment. On day 2, you know, I had a positive interaction at the meet and greet with CuteBot. That was cool. I was keeping eyes on all the lines around me. Nothing weird was happening. Thank God. You know, I got to attend Emeru's cosplay show. I think it went really well. I think like all the ideas were really well thought out. I think like, you know, there was some really, really funny moments, and mad props to everyone involved in the production team and everyone that took part in that and putting that on. And again, massive shout out to Emeru for, you know, still going forward and doing what she ultimately wanted to do, because she said she didn't even want to do a meet and greet, but she was forced to in order to have her show, which is just like they're basically marketing and exploiting her and leaving her unprotected. It's just insane. One of the top creators being treated like that. I kind of want to comment on some of the other things that I felt about TwitchCon as a whole. Come up with some more engaging content, because there's not a whole hell of a lot to do at TwitchCon, dude. You can walk around and have products marketed towards you. You can walk up to various people with their IRL cams in your face trying to make you look like an idiot. Or you can just, you know, wander. You can go to some activations. You can go to a couple of workshops that are pretty much designed for people just starting. Very, very, very basic stuff. And you know where all the best seminars and workshops were? You had to be a partner to go to those. Like, why are we preventing people that are like in the mid grounds, that are people that are affiliated, people that are like, you're not getting the opportunity to go and enrich your experience, to learn about things that can help you continue to push that ground, which benefits everyone, by the way. Why are we partner blocking knowledge? I don't know. That just shocks me. You know, I'm like, wow, this looks great. Oh, it's partners only. Okay, cool. Like, it's one thing if it's like an after party or some sort of event or some exclusive VIP, whatever. Yeah, okay, fine. But we're talking about classes and like in-depth experience and knowledge and like insider info that's going to help you do better on the platform as a content creator who's there to learn. I walked back to my car after the cosplay show and hung out a bit, because there's really nowhere else for you to go if you're not staying, you know, right next to the convention center. You know, the parking is $25. It's not like you have an in and out opportunity. You are stuck there. You are walking on foot everywhere, and that's it. I make my way to the block party. You know, it seems like they've now roped off all of the gas lamp district, which is like this main kind of party, food, bar, nightclub area in San Diego. Apparently people were claiming it was a no streaming zone. I never saw that. I never knew that. I walked in with my camera bag literally on my back and nobody checked it. They did not care. Once again, we have security questions, right? Never got frisked, never got anything. We walked through a metal detector, but scan your thing, it goes green. All right, welcome. Anyway, there's food out in the streets. There's little bars out in the streets. There's like a concert venue set up inside. Cool, right? However, if you're not a drinker, if you're sober, if you're recovering, there was no non-alcoholic spirits or beers. You know, they had sodas and stuff, which are okay. But in the current like age where like people are offering more options for people to feel included, you know, not having a non-alcoholic spirit or beer at the Twitch bars in the streets where you can actually be a part of everything and walk around is crazy. It's just really unfortunate. And I am one of those people who's sober now, you know, I don't drink anymore. So I found one spot that had what I was looking for, and then I was stuck there for the whole time. I couldn't walk around and go enjoy the sights and the concert and whatever. I was stuck in the bar because they won't even let you walk out with a non-alcoholic beer. So, you know, that is what it is, right? You know, I sat there. I had some cool engagements with streamers and people that were running some activations at TwitchCon. That was cool. I was having a decent time. The Angry Birds show happened above the Petco area. I mean, the location for it, we're literally staring up into street lights. So you've got like the main street lights, and then the drones are up there. So you're just like basically squinting through street lights to look at the drone show, which essentially is a giant ad for Angry Birds, because there's a literal QR code that floats in the sky at the end of the show. Like, there's like some cool moments, right, where there's like a giant pig with like really HD looking eyes, and then it's like QR code, scan this for a countdown for when our app releases so you can pay us. Where's the celebration of the content creators? Where's the celebration of like the people that like do this shit? Why is it all about making money? I mean, it's literally all it is. That's what it felt like attending TwitchCon. They're making money on people who are looking for knowledge, looking for networking, but they're just profiting the fuck off of you, and you're most likely going to make a couple of connections, but is it really worth it? I don't know. All of the different workshops also completely meld into each other. So you're walking around, or you're at one workshop, and it's like you look at your schedule and like, oh shit, my next workshop I was going to is literally 30 minutes in already. So I guess I'm not going to that anymore. I just feel like too much slammed in for you to make sense out of any of it. So yeah, day 3, I went and saw my friend play in his band Isekai Stage at the Kappa Cabana. They were great. If you haven't seen them, check them out. They're fucking awesome. They're an anime cover band, and they just released their first original, and you should check them out. There was a lot of people commenting about the lack of shade at the Kappa Cabana area, which I would agree. There's like 3 umbrellas, and then you're just standing in the sweltering heat in the sun getting roasted. Like, how is anyone going to sit there and watch a show if there's no shade? Like, met up with some friends. That's when I walked over to the FrankerZ emote workshop, where we were taught how to make emotes, but it was more so like a couple of people who know how to draw, showing people how to draw, but not really showing people how to draw, just kind of being like, this is what you should amplify. And then the whole rest of the experience was just like people showing their really well-drawn things that know how to draw. It was not what I expected. Most people thought it was going to be like, oh, hey, you're going to make a face and we're going to take a picture and then we're going to upload it and that'll be your emote. So that's weirdly marketed totally not the way you would expect. So pretty much after that, I was just kind of like, I think I'm done. I think I've had my fill. I think I have seen what I came to see. To sum it all up, right? I just kind of want to talk about like what I think needs to change, what really should be implemented if this is ever to happen again. If it is going to happen again, I don't know. This might not be over. We'll see. First and foremost, security protocol. There needs to be in place security guards at all of the meet and greet areas, at all of the perimeters of the meet and greet areas, at the front entrances even. I mean, there's too many entrances to the convention center as a whole. They changed that day too. They made it only the far left and the far right, but day one, it was the entire stretch. You just got people just opening doors and walking in. That's so insane. There was too many events scheduled on top of each other. We were late to everything, or you were just like too stressed to even make it because you're like, oh, why would I walk in now? It's already started. It's too late. So you can't really finish one thing and go to the next. You have to like pick and choose way more. The Wi-Fi costing, period. And then the fact that it's not budget friendly at all. You've got people flying in, spending $600, flying from the East Coast over here. What are they spending? Like, I don't know, $300 for their hotel. Now you got them spending $200 a day for their Wi-Fi. Like what? This is just extreme taking people's money. And are they getting enough out of it? Are they really getting what they paid for? I think there needs to be no partnered separated seminars and workshops. Why are we withholding this kind of information from the people that want to learn and get better and learn the insider stuff? You know, they think that affiliates don't have brand deals, only partners have brand deals. They get to go to the brand deal workshop. I don't get that. Having non-alcoholic options at the block party would be great. Let's maybe not have the drone show being a giant massive advertisement with a giant floating QR code in the sky. Maybe we choose something, I don't know, that reflects the community a little bit more, or do some like emotes, or do something that's a little more just like, oh, this is so fun, versus like, hey, buy our game. I think there needs to be something implemented about IRL cameras. I know a lot of people online are talking about how like these people are just like farming engagements, running up and stealing interactions and just like farming interactions. People are forcing themselves on others with their cameras that don't want to be filmed. And it's like, you're already on film. If you don't react properly, you know what's going to happen. You know, something's going to happen. You're going to get put on the internet now. I think it's great that there was a lot of like big content creators walking around with everyone else. But I also think like, I don't see why bigger content creators would want to be walking around with everyone else like that if they're just going to be used for farming engagements. The marketing was completely inaccurate. I've witnessed something horrible. A lot of people witnessed it in real life. Emeru experienced it herself. Sexual assault, no security present, no instant reaction from the venue staff, no support from Twitch or its management or affiliates, nothing. Like, it's like just part of the job, man. What do you mean? I know she said that she's never going back. I think that's 100% fair. That's 100% should be the case. I think most content creators should be deciding the same thing until we see serious changes and until people take accountability for what happened. You know, it's a huge letdown as an aspiring partner myself to see one of the top creators being treated like that. No concerns for safety and well-being. Just, you know, get people to buy tickets to come and meet you. That's what they're there for. In their perspective, no, we don't care about their safety. It's nuts. It's gonna be hard to move past this. You know, I think a lot of people have gotten the wake-up call now to realize like this is not how things should be done. And I think that's good. And I think you have to see the ugly truth to implement change. But I also think this all could have been prevented. And I'm going to keep saying that. You know, 100%, this should not have happened. I think that good things are ahead. I think that I've never seen the community so united. Like, it's really nice to see. I like to see people standing up for what's right and not being afraid to speak out, even when it's like something at stake. If you yourself have ever dealt with any of these horrible situations, there are resources out there available. And like I mentioned before, joyfulheartfoundation.org, one of the leading organizations on sexual assault, domestic violence, child abuse, and supporting survivors healing. And if you do have the means to donate towards the cause, I invite you to help support. Thank you for all listening, and appreciate y'all.